Hello everybody! Today we're going to be talking about the differences between mirrorless and DSLR cameras and if there are any benefits of picking one over the other. DSLR stands for Digital Single Lens Reflex. These are cameras that have a mirror inside the body that reflects light from the lens onto a prism or sometimes more mirrors, then finally into the viewfinder for the user to preview the shot. When the shutter button is pressed, the mirror is lifted and the shutter opens up to let the light through to the sensor for the image to be captured. Now I know that might not be very easy to visualize, so I have here a couple of visual diagrams. This is what a DSLR looks like when the mirror is down. You can see how the light passes through the lens and is reflected from the mirror to the prism, which then sends that light into the viewfinder. When the mirror is up, the light is no longer reflected to the prism, and so the viewfinder goes dark for the time being. Instead, the light goes straight onto the digital sensor of the camera as illustrated. Because of the additional optical elements inside the camera body, DSLRs are generally much larger and heavier than mirrorless cameras. Now let's talk more about mirrorless cameras. These are cameras that let light through the lens and straight onto the digital sensor. Some of these cameras have what is known as an electronic viewfinder, or EVF, which is a viewfinder that has a little digital display inside it for the user to get a preview of the shot in addition to the camera's main display. This is what a mirrorless camera looks like in operation. The light goes straight onto the sensor and the preview the user sees in the EVF is from a small second display that gets data from the sensor. Because of the simple nature of mirrorless cameras, they can be lighter, smaller, and much simpler on a mechanical level. So which of the two is best? It's really difficult to say which system is better since the decision-making process is very subjective. But if you're purely focused on video, then mirrorless is your best bet most of the time. And if photos are your major concern, then sticking with the DSLR will majority of the time give you the best results. I will now list the advantages and disadvantages of both mirrorless and DSLR systems so that you can decide what's best for you. Advantages of mirrorless cameras are: they are lightweight and small in size. High speed and continuous shooting is generally better with mirrorless cameras. Mirrorless cameras tend to have better video features like 4K video and better live view autofocus. Mirrorless cameras generally match DSLRs feature for feature and usually go a step further. The disadvantages are: mirrorless cameras typically have much weaker battery life. Entry-level mirrorless cameras with good features like electronic viewfinders can be expensive. Electronic viewfinders typically lag and are not as good as optical viewfinders. And finally, mirrorless cameras generally have fewer lens options. And now the advantages of DSLRs are: massive lens range for Canon and Nikon DSLRs, lag-free and crystal clear optical viewfinders. Even the most basic DSLRs offer manual controls. Battery life is generally much better with DSLRs, and entry-level DSLRs are much cheaper than entry-level mirrorless cameras. The disadvantages of DSLRs are: they are bulky and heavy. They generally offer less features than their mirrorless rivals. DSLRs can no longer match the shooting speeds of the high-end mirrorless cameras. And finally, video features like 4K video aren't as common with DSLRs. So you can see that both systems have their pros and cons, but think of it this way. Mirrorless cameras to DSLRs are like what the cell phone did to the telephone. They really do feel like the future. The versatility they offer is unmatched. So if you want the very best video features you can find, those will most likely be on a mirrorless camera. And if you're more interested in a traditional tried and tested approach to your photography with tons of lens options, then DSLRs are the way to go. Either way, you definitely won't be disappointed whichever one you choose. Thanks for watching. Please leave a like or a comment if this video was useful to you. And if it wasn't, there's a button for that too. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more videos like this. See you folks in the next one.